Hey everybody, how you doing? Hopefully you're having a great weekend. This weekend, as I usually do, I've gone through a bunch of stock charts. I try to identify some of my favorite setups coming into the next week. I then take those charts and save them in a separate list. It's like my focused buy list. And then the majority of trades that I enter during the week actually come from this weekend homework that I do. So in the video today, I'll go through 10 charts that are setting up nicely, in my opinion, next week to hopefully give you some ideas and some things to watch. So first one here is MPC, Marathon Petroleum Corp. You could see this area here around 83.50 or so was resistance here in April. Again in June, couldn't quite crack it. In July or August, almost an inverse head and shoulders type look. And now it's kind of consolidating right there. It's 84.34 is where it closed Friday. So if it can start pulling up out of this consolidation, maybe get up to 84.75 or so, $85, I think this one looks very attractive on the long side and could make a nice run. And again, your risk is defined. You can put your stop a little bit under that yellow box so you know what your max loss is coming in. But MPC is one that's looking good for me next week if it can move up. Under Armour is one I owned earlier in the year as it made this nice breakout here in May. It had a nice run of 20% or so, and now it's coming back to retest that area. It's right around $19 now, which you can see here in February and May, that area was resistance. So what was resistance then turned into support here in early August as it bounced off that area. Now we're right back here, and this area is also right around this rising 200-day moving average, which a lot of traders use as a buy zone when price pulls back to a rising 200-day. So we have that, and we have this former resistance turn support. So there's a couple key areas here that may act as support here for Under Armour. But I think if this holds and it starts pulling off of that 19 or so level, I think this one looks pretty attractive on the buy side, because again, your risk is defined. I would put my stop here slightly under this yellow box, a little bit under that 200-day, maybe 1820, 1810 or so. But this one's looking pretty good. It's been in a nice longer term uptrend since last fall, and now after that huge run, it's kind of just been digesting those gains. So if we start moving up again, this one might be set for another run. So I'm keeping my eye on Under Armour next week. Next one here is RXN. I'm going to zoom out to the weekly chart here, and we can see that this area here that we're trading right around is a really big area. We'll call it $31 is what I'm looking for it to break. But that was its highs back in 2014, and it spent all this time pushing up above them, against them, but hasn't been ready to crack above it quite yet. So if we can get a move over $31 or so, I think this one could be set for a big run. And again, the reason I like it is you can set your stop a little bit under that yellow box in case it decides to turn against you. You get out with a small loss, but with this nice base pushing up against those all-time highs, if this one starts running, I think it could be a nice trade potentially. Here's CIEN, a little different idea here. This had this huge gap up, big volume, and now it's just been digesting those gains. Pretty orderly so far over the last couple of weeks. So if this pattern holds and it starts coming up out of this pattern, this is one that I would want to buy with a stop slightly below the lows from the pattern. So just in watch mode right now. But if this one starts moving up, there's a lot of demand for these shares here. You could see this huge volume, big update. Now it's just really orderly, giving some of those back, kind of trading flattish. So if this one starts moving up, might bring in some new demand, and I would look to enter with a stop again slightly under the lows from this consolidation. So that's another one I'm watching, CIEN. Next one here is ECHO. And this one looks really good. I actually do have a position in this one. I booked some gains here, and then I re-added here. So I'm back to a full position here as of Friday. But this 34.50 area, it was resistance here, had that beautiful breakout above it, came back to retest it. So if this continues to act as support, I like this one quite a bit. As long as it stays above that level. This was in a nice, strong uptrend all year, looking good. But one of the reasons I really like it, I'll zoom out to the weekly again here. We have these highs from 2015 that we are now above. If I draw the line there, you can see this 30, we'll call it 34.50 was resistance here, didn't quite make it there, shot over, couldn't quite close there, but now we're above that area. So if it can hold that, this looks very, bullish here on this longer term chart, and then shorter term, we have our area to trade against here, which is, 34 50 stops slightly under that. So I like Echo for next week, so keep your eye on that one. VSTM, this one has an area here around 875, was resistance, broke above it, retesting it, just consolidating right there. So if this starts moving up out of that consolidation, this looks like an attractive buy to me with the stop slightly below the yellow box, maybe just below that 50-day moving average right there. This is also one I have a position in, but I think if you don't, it might be setting up next week. This is BTU. It had this area here around $41 or so. That was resistance all these times earlier in the year, kind of consolidated right there before making a nice run. And now it just kind of orderly came down right back to that level. So it came down back to that level and also to this rising 200-day moving average. And then it broke up and it moved out of this downtrend line, which is good to see. I always like to trade off of a horizontal level. So this is the horizontal level I was looking for. And then it broke. It made a shorter term, it made a higher high. It broke above these highs here from August 20th, 21st. So now I think we have potentially a trend reversal of this shorter term trend. So if it pulls back a little here, to 42.85 or so, I think this one looks very viable, and I think it has a really good chance to, at a minimum, retest those highs from June. So BTU is looking pretty healthy to me. I do own it, but I still think it looks viable, so that's why I included it in this video, just to put it on your radar. Another energy name, PBF. I do own this one as well. This is around 50-50 or so. It had this resistance broke above it, couldn't quite pull away. It's pulled away a little bit. This key level's held, but if it can start pulling away, break above 53.50 or so, I think we can get a nice run here out of PBF. Obviously, a lot depends on just the overall action of energy names in general. But if those start moving, this is a good candidate to add to your list of buys. The last two here, exchanges, really similar setup. So here's ICE, Intercontinental Exchange. This has this area, we'll call it $76, $77. It's been resistance here all these times. We broke above it, retested it. So as long as it stays above that, I think this looks very, very healthy. Here's the weekly chart. You can see it a little much more clean here. The 76, 77 area, just a nice breakout. So if it could hold above it, I think this one looks very attractive on the long side. One I'll have my eye on next week for a buy. CME, very similar setup. This has 170, 175 level is resistance here, kind of broke above it, and then it's just kind of consolidating there. So if this one starts pulling up similar to ICE, I think this one looks very attractive on the buy side. So just a few ideas there of what I'm watching next week. Hopefully you found it helpful. Maybe you'll put these on your radar, keep an eye on them. If you're interested, it's myself and CJ Agresta. It's called Trusted Process Trading. It's live trade alerts, educational information, some trading psychology mixed in with our nightly reviews. Then I put out a weekend video. CJ does a bunch of market recaps. So we do our best to do a good job in providing members with value. So if you're interested, please check out the site. If not, that's fine too. But I hope you all have a great week, and talk to you soon. Thanks.